Hey mama, are you a multi-passionate mom who is juggling all the things, nursing a baby, battling laundry, trying to keep it together and keep a spicy marriage, and feeling like you're feeling all of it? What's up? I'm Ashley Carroll. I'm here to hold your hand through this process because I believe when you're ready to take control of your life, beat the limiting excuses, step into your own power, you can not only survive, but you can thrive. But you're gonna have to show up for yourself. It's time for me to tough love your way through prioritization, taking self-care seriously, getting rid of excuses, reconnecting with your family, kids, and spouse, and quite honestly, learning to love the chaos because the glory is in the journey. It's in the mess. In this podcast, you will find balance for busy mamas, navigating mom guilt, time management strategies, and everything in between with no fluff and lots of fun. Let's go. Hey friends, so we are throwing it back old school. If you're an OG listener, you know that this podcast used to be primarily interviews. Every episode was some sort of interview. And today we're bringing it back with Shari Medini and Karissa Tunis of Adore Them Parenting. And they just came out with a book called Parenting While Working From Home, which I felt like was a genius thing to talk about right now. Parenting and working at home at the same time, because as you guys know, most women and some dads, but primarily women, are staying at home. They're doing their jobs from home, or we're trying to navigate both parents being home because work has allowed us to work remotely. But now we've also got kiddos at home. And that means navigating your focus with your job and your child and them wanting you and them not being entertained, but you still have work to do. And it's just this cycle, or can be this cycle of guilt, shame, exhaustion, mismanaged time, mismanaged feelings, and not really knowing how to do both well at the same time when you guys are all under one roof all day long. So Shari and Karissa share their insights of, hey, this is what we did, this is what we learned, this is how we function, this is the things that we messed up on, and this is the things that we would tell you now looking back. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode. Let's go.
Hello.
Hey guys.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Okay. So everybody's on. Hey, how are you guys?
Hey.
Okay. So just to let you know, I was going to do an intro that you guys won't hear right now. But obviously a part of the episode. And then I kind of like to do things on the fly. So I didn't send you any questions, but do you have any questions for me before we get started?
I don't think so. Just you have a hard out at like 1:00-ish, right? So we'll just try to
we're gonna
buzz through and
speed round.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. So give me just a second.
Sure.
Make sure we're recording because that's always fun when you forget. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm going to count down from 3 and then we're going to get started.
Sounds good.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. I'm super excited to have you listening to today because I feel like today's topic is super important, especially right now with everybody's new lifestyle changes and life seasons, having kiddos at home and balancing work and, just life with kiddos is already challenging, much less if you have to work from home with your kiddos. And so I'm excited to have Karissa and Shari here talking about parenting while working from home. They just came out with a book. Super excited. I was really man, this could not be a better time for something like this. When everybody's like, how do I function right now? Like, I don't know. And mom guilt, I think, is the huge culprit. So you guys, I want to let you take the floor and we just mentioned, kind of power through this and give moms who are listening real nuggets of how do I do this and do it well? And how do I think our most and biggest concern is taking care of our kiddos, but also not neglecting ourselves and what we need to get done. So you guys just take the floor. I want you to tell us all the things. How do we function? How do we get through this? How do we coexist right now?
Yeah. So you're right. It feels like a lot because it is a lot. We are trying to do all of the things and we're trying to do them all well. So it's a lot to juggle, and we'll be the first ones to tell you that. But Carissa and I have been working from home ourselves for over a decade. So even prior to this, that was kind of the idea behind the book, right? Was like we found ideas and strategies and things that worked for us, and maybe these will be helpful to our fellow parents who might be experiencing this for the first time.
Yeah.
And we all need those like practical strategies and a little bit of inspiration as well. We actually broke down the book so that every chapter tackles a different month of the year, but within those chapters, there's a section for you, like you as the individual parent, that self-care, that self-growth kind of thing. How do we pay attention to you? There's a whole section for the kids, kid activity ideas, the parenting, and then there's a whole section for working from home. What does this look like? How do I advance in my career? How do I set up a workstation? How do I communicate professionally? And we did that because we really do that in our own lives, that we really segment those areas that work is a priority for us, especially in this season of life. Obviously, we're launching a book, right? That takes a lot of our time and focus. But our kids are a huge piece of that. And like you said, if we're not caring for ourselves, we don't have the energy or the brain space to give to the things that are important to us. So yes, there's a lot of practical strategies, but you're right about the mom guilt. That's something that we hear a lot. I'm curious to hear from you. What have you been hearing? Like, what are those areas that you feel like people are struggling with the most right now on like a practical level?
Yeah, I think probably in my mom circles and just like when we were in the season of virtual learning, probably like, my kid needs help with a button every 5 seconds, or my kid has a question every 5 seconds, and I'm trying to focus. I have 30 minutes before lunchtime or before, I have to be pulled away. How do I focus here, but then also am pulled over here by all these other things? That would probably be, or at least by their child in a specific, and all the questions and all the things like, mommy, how do I do this? Or mommy, help me with this. Or mommy, can you do this? And then the second one that comes to mind, I think, is probably working in your home space. Because I know for me, like when you're in your home, all you can think about is all the things that you need to do in your home. And so like I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, but I have the dishes to do. But I have this to do, I think we're mentally being pulled and drained in all these directions to where then by the end of the week, by the end of the day, we're exhausted. We don't know how we can go on. We don't know how to like mentally balance it all. To where I think we're just depleted and then unhappy. And like you guys know, if we don't take care of ourselves and we can't show up for everybody else better, and it's just like this vicious cycle. So yeah.
Carissa, do you want to jump in? I know you have some great advice for that like balance kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I have 4 children, and I have just learned that I can't do it all, especially in one day. I am not going to succeed. And it does get really frustrating. You lay in bed at night and you're like, oh, I just did not get my list accomplished, or I wasn't able to execute it fully to the abilities I know I'm capable of. So I started taking a different approach where I pick one overarching theme for each day. I still have, every day I have bottles to wash. I've got a baby at home. Every day I have to pack the kids' school lunches, those kind of things I can't ignore. There's always work emails I have to touch in with, and respond to. But my overarching theme for the day is then where I focus all of my extra effort. So I break it up between 3 categories. I have house days, family days, and work days. So on work days, if I have a project that's due and that needs to be my focus, then in between helping the kids with whatever I need to do, that's my focus. I'm sending an email here. I'm working on a spreadsheet there. I'm letting the dishes pile up. I'm letting the laundry sit in the dryer. I'm not going to carry that guilt because my focus for that day is accomplishing that work task. Then another day, I'll pick home as my focus. So in between feeding the baby, checking email, that kind of stuff, I'm starting a load of laundry. I'm unloading the dishwasher. I'm tackling those projects. And then when you zoom out and you look at the week as a whole, I have accomplished everything in the different areas, but instead of trying to spread myself too thin each day, I try to look at it as the whole week.
That's such a good idea, because then you're not trying to do all of those categories like motherhood, house duties, work duties all at the same day. Yeah, like you said, being spread too thin. That's a really good way.
And those family days don't have to be those big fancy excursions. We don't really even have the option to do that a lot right now. But that could be in like, we're going to play that board game that we never get around to playing, or we're going to have a dance party, or we're just going to chat, or I'll play a video game with you. Whatever that looks like, that it's that opportunity to touch base with your kids, give them what they need. And they also are able to understand, that we can communicate that with them, that like, sorry guys, I need today to be a work day. That might mean they're on their screens a little bit more. That might mean that I'm not as available to them, but they know that they're going to get their turn, that we're going to make sure that we connect and have fun together as a family. And that's coming down the line. I haven't forgotten about you. It's just, and I think keeping that communication open, that it's okay. Like our kids, it's important that our kids understand that our work is important too. Like, for Karissa and I, and I'm assuming you as well, like we love what we do and we love being able to share that with our kids, that their job right now, we're touching on the virtual schooling. That was a really challenging stage. My kids went back end of January to in person, but throughout the spring and the fall, we were doing the virtual school thing. And I had to shift my expectations for what the day looked like. Heading into the fall, in my head, it was going to be, you're on your school device and you're on your school device, and I'll just sit in the middle and I'll get my work done on my laptop too. And like you said, every 5 minutes, Mom, I can't figure this out, or where is this, or how do I, and it didn't work. And I had to scrap that vision, that wonderful vision of what our routine would look like for the day. And to be honest with you, since I have been working from home for so long, our days do not look the same day to day. We didn't have, when we were doing virtual school, there were some days where they knocked everything out first thing in the morning. And there were days that we were still working till 7:00 in the evening to get stuff done for the day. It was just the season of life we were in. We had to do what made sense, because I had work responsibilities. My husband had work responsibilities. And if it was a beautiful day and the sun was shining, you know what? We were going to go to the park. We were going to enjoy that flexibility. We were going to make the most of that. So overall, I think it's just sometimes rethinking and making it work for you.
I wanted to ask you guys, what do you like, what or how mentally I feel like is our biggest barrier? It's us overthinking things. It's us letting our just thoughts control, and probably having that sense of control. But like mentally, what was the biggest thing you guys had to get over to have successful days working from home with your kiddos around? What were those for you guys? And how did you get over them?
I think for me, having multiple kids and lots of interruptions, I was really struggling with feeling like I wasn't putting as much effort into my work, or like I felt guilty that I wasn't able just to sit down and work straight through something, that I was always like working in bursts, working in blocks of time. And Shari really helped me just rethink that, because she said, when I used to work in an office, no one sits there and works straight through from 9 to 5. You're constantly getting interrupted from coworkers, people calling you, meetings, lunch breaks, water cooler talk. And you need mental breaks too. And you walk around the office and you talk to your coworkers.
That's so true.
So she had this concept that she shared with me, and she wrote about it in our book, and I love it. She said to look at the kids like little coworkers. And when I did that, it just totally shifted my mindset. Yes, a coworker is not asking for help in the restroom, but just
they're not changing their diapers.
Exactly. But just accepting those interruptions and just realizing that's a part of everyone's day, whether you're working in the office or at home, no one sits and works straight through. So just embrace it. And then just being very intentional with that time. You know, if I'm going to walk away from the computer to help one of the kids with something, I'm going to fully, you know, be in the moment with them and give them that attention for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or run outside quick and take a little break with them, you know, and then come back in, help them refocus. And then I can sit back down and get back to what I need to do.
I think that's an important point too, that those little moments do add up. And I think even when we're thinking about self-care, that we're, you know, you don't need a whole spa day, you know, it'd be nice, but a lot of us don't have that luxury. And, you know, even when the kids are at school, they have a 15-minute recess, but it's something they get to, you know, run around outside and take a break from that. And I oftentimes am grateful that like my kids are my break from my work and my work is my break from my kids. And when I'm with my kids, I do try to, you know, tune out, knowing that this might just be for 15 minutes, that I'm going to plug in totally to you, make sure you have what you need, and also give myself a little bit of mental break from the work to-do list. And then I can shift gears again and put on my headphones and listen to music that I like and get lost in work for another short burst of time. But really, I mean, parenting while working from home, depending on the season of life, if your kids are older, you might be able to work for longer chunks of time. But a lot of us are just doing those sprints.
Those are good points. I really like that idea of your kids being coworkers. I think that probably is, I didn't even think about it, but that's genius, that like you don't actually sit down. And that's where the mom guilt comes in, because we have this idea in our mind of what it should look like and how and what makes us feel successful as work at home moms. And then when it doesn't happen, then we feel like we could have done more. Yeah, we feel like we failed. And then we also feel guilty because we don't have a system in place and we didn't show up for our kids. And we also at the same time feel like we didn't show up for our work. So what do you say to moms who are feeling like that, to where it's like they feel guilty no matter what? And then they feel like, you know, like I said, they haven't showed up for their work the way they want to, and they haven't showed up for their kids. What encouragement would you give to them?
I mean, this is something we've been hearing a lot, which tells me that it's normal and that we're all experiencing this, that it's not just you, that the mom that you think is the perfect mom and has it all together is also experiencing this. The moms that wrote a book on this topic are also experiencing this, that it is just part of it to some extent. So sometimes it's okay to sit with that, but also when we're experiencing that mom guilt, like, why? Like, what's the root of that? Is this an external pressure that you feel like you should be doing this? Or is this something that you value yourself, that you feel like you're falling short on? Or is it sometimes that guilt is there for a reason, that there have been times where I have been working too much and my kids do need more of me and they're not doing okay, especially over the course of this last year, that there were those moments where they weren't okay. And I did need to check back into them. And so I can't always say, just ignore it, right? Sometimes that little piece inside of us is trying to tell us something. But I do think the more we can make it objective, I'll put my kids on my to-do list for the day, you know, that if I'm like, here's work tasks, but I'll even write in there, you know, play a game or go outside or play Matchbox cars or whatever idea I have for the kids, and put that there, because not only is it a good reminder for me, but I'm able to see objectively and visually, I did that. I mommed today, you know, and I worked today, and here's all the things I got done. But it's also about making sure that we're spending our time on the things that make the biggest impact. Stop, you know, there are little things that we're going to have to let go, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Karissa, what would you say to that same idea, but for moms with like littles? That's where I'm at right now too. So I have a toddler, and then I have a 10 and a 7-year-old. So it's like I have independent ones where I can tell them and they understand what I'm doing. And then I have a toddler who doesn't care what I'm doing. He wants this right now, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. I have a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then an 8-month baby. So I've got the independent ones and the one, that still needs a lot of help. No, I mean, my biggest piece of advice is just to get them set up first. I found when my 3 older ones were all toddlers and I was at home working with them, if I thought they were entertained and I tried to sit down and start something very quickly, they were right there beside me asking for help with something. And I found myself just always saying like, just give mommy 5 more minutes, just a few more minutes, and then I'll help you with that. But I realize what I'm sitting there trying to do, I'm not fully invested in it. With them standing there beside me, it was just much better to just stop, go meet their needs, get them set up with something, and then jump back into work. And so something that I started doing before I wanted to give myself a chunk of time to sit down and be productive was I would set them up first, and we would all go into the bathroom. Everyone would use the potty. We would all go in the kitchen, pull out their favorite bowls, fill it with their snacks, fill up their sippy cups, and then go into the family room. And I would look for stuff in their playroom that would keep their attention for a while. So whether it was, a bunch of their Matchbox cars and car tracks, or they love animals. So I'd bring in little plastic animals and blocks or Lincoln Logs and say, okay, you're going to build a zoo today for the animals, or whatever that looked like. But I try to create something really interactive and being intentional about that setup time with them, going potty, getting snacks and drinks, setting up the play space. I then could sit back on my laptop on the couch and watch them, but they then were occupied. I met their needs, and they would play for a while and let me just sit there and focus on work.
Yeah, that's really good. I think
one of our,
go ahead.
I was going to say one of our other favorite toddler hacks is, I would almost think of the bathtub as like their playpen.
Yeah. Like that's such a good idea.
They would spend so long in the bathtub. They would do, we'd pick different things like the Lego Duplos, they would build themselves a whole fort on the bathtub wall or a castle. They would try to build floating things. We would do those cheapo watercolors you can get in like the dollar bin that they could paint all over the bathtub. Take the balls in, take the animals in, like look around the house and be like, okay, what's water safe? What can we throw in the tub today?
Anything that we can put in the tub.
Anything. And, give them their goggles that they can swim in the tub, whatever it is. I can't tell you how many hours I've worked sitting in the bathroom on my laptop, because they're happy and they're contained. And, it's not something like, oh, can you play with me? Cause like they're in the tub. So just getting creative with those kind of things. There's nothing, you don't have to be at your desk. You can't be at your desk for the whole workday.
Yeah. And let's just be real that like we can have all the plans, and like as Karissa was talking, like I know that their moms are like, well, I've done that. Like I made sure they had everything ready, and like our day still goes to poop, probably literally and metaphorically, but like when you have babies, I mean, sometimes, but like
they always have the blowout right before you walk out the door.
Of course. But like, so what do you tell to moms, or like, to encourage them, or like some sort of truth? Because man, sometimes it just doesn't go the way that we want it to. And that has nothing to do with you. Like, I feel like we put that on us, that like, what is wrong with me? Like I set everything up. I did everything that I should have. And I still basically had to throw my work day out the window because nothing went as planned.
That was my biggest adjustment to motherhood, was that you're really not in control anymore to some extent. Like I can have the best laid plans. One of my favorite pictures is our entire living room with like bouncy seats and swings and play mats. And my son is laying on my husband. Like, we can do everything. We can read all the books, but some kids don't sleep well, or they spike a fever, or they start teething, or they're just having an off day. And it is totally normal. And that's where some of that like picking days kind of thing can come in handy, when you have that flexibility to scrap it and be like, you know what? You're going in the baby carrier and we're going to go for a walk today. It's okay to throw in that towel. And I don't know if you have any specific advice that's top of mind, Karissa, but I know that's a really hard thing to do. I think that's also why we try to touch on like goals, like what do I need to accomplish this week? What are those main points? Anything else is a bonus, but also giving yourself the span of a week to accomplish those. And for me, like, if I have a moment, if everything's going well, make sure you capitalize on those moments. If everybody's having a good day, be as productive as you can, because you don't know when that's going to happen again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would also just say having an 8-month-old to a 12-year-old, it's every age is a different stage and it presents a different challenge. The older kids get, the more independent they become. And so, yes, my 12-year-old will let me sit and work without interruptions, but then it's a different type of challenge with her. I have to be very intentional about going into her room, sitting her down, like connecting with her, having those talks, making sure that like finding out what does she need help with homework or school, like what's happening, what can I help her with? The baby, he'll cry when he needs something and let me know. But just enjoy it. It goes so fast. Kids grow up so quickly. And even though you get frustrated right now with all those little interruptions, they're not going to be asking for that kind of help forever, So try to embrace it and enjoy it now while you're in the moment.
And figure out what works in the moment, because like the things that I did, that work schedule that, I was working late at night when my kids were babies and toddlers, but then all of a sudden they turn 5 and they're off to kindergarten and I have chunks of time where I can work. So each thing is just a season. So being, what do I need to do right now to make this work?
Yeah. I think that from what I hear you guys saying, like having the opportunity or taking the initiative to look at the bigger picture, because I think we get stuck in this, like what is going on right now. We're in it deep, we're in diapers, we're in, juggling dinners and work time and this and virtual schooling or whatever. And I think that we just get so hyper focused on life right now. And sometimes it's long seasons, like for real. Sometimes it's a year long, right? Like everything that's been going on, but sometimes it's just months long. And I think also acknowledging that we're all going through it together in different ways as moms, to where like it may look like on Facebook all the other moms are nailing it, but their kids may be older, but their season is coming up, right? Like I always say, like you may be in a season of blessing right now, but I guarantee you a season of challenge is right around the corner. So enjoy the season of blessing while you have it, because there's going to be that challenge. And so it may, and then, eventually it'll flip flop to where you have your season of blessing, your kids are running off. Like I remember the first time that, my kids could swim at the pool and I didn't have to get in and like, carry one or have kids like hanging on me while I could actually sit and like read a book right by them or something. And I was like, yes. And then I had another baby and I was like, no, but then, but those seasons, they happen and they change fast. So, I think, we just get so caught up in that. I also wanted to ask you guys real quickly. I think that another challenge that I personally have that I'm guessing other moms would have is like your approach to this. Like, how do you guys approach mood wise? I don't know if that makes sense, but this kind of life or having to work from home, or when your kids had to stay home from school, because I feel like there has to be some like tie between mentally how you approach things and how you like actually show it to your kids.
It's a big burden. Yeah, there's a lot on mom's shoulder. I see it firsthand. When I'm not doing okay, my kids aren't doing okay. One of the biggest things, and the reason that we started adorethemaparenting.com, the website in the first place, was that what you're consuming does have an impact on how you see the world. So the negative articles that, yes, they can be funny. Yes, it can be, validating to read an article where, the kids are annoying and the husband's no help and all of that. It impacts us. You start to see your world in that way. And we wanted to start the website as a way to share some of those positive resources, some of that positive mindset, because we need that. We have enough going on. So we need people, whether that's friends, coworkers, community, but even the, social media and stuff that we're consuming. Be really careful about what's popping up in your feed. I am the person to quickly, click not interested or hide from timeline or do anything like that, because I know that it affects me. And they've done studies showing how much that can affect us. So when we're already struggling and not with enough internally, just make sure that you're not also being bombarded with it externally as much as possible. That sometimes it's okay to, kind of go back to basics. And it's me, my family, like, what do we feel is important? And how can we make sure we're all doing okay together?
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. I have 0 notifications on my phone for that reason, because if I feel like I'm already being pulled by work and by each of my 3 kiddos who, we have that desire to connect with them individually. So I think of them as like 3 extra sources, and then my husband. And so if I also have my phone and all these things, each app or each different thing notifying me, then that is also pulling, like it's another string that I see attached to me, pulling me towards, using my energy to look at that. And then you get stuck in those, Facebook black holes and, all these things. And so I just don't do it. I'm like, even if I want to hear about it, if I really, truly want to hear about it and I have the energy, then I will go and search it out myself versus having a notification on my phone. But
you're putting yourself back in control. Yeah. And that's what it is. Our phones should be a resource to us. They should be a tool. There's something that can be really helpful, but it's gotten to the point where we have switched that. We're a slave to the notifications and the texts and whatever.
I have to set a timer, or what is it? The setting that says you have, you only have 5 minutes left. And I'm like, oh gosh. Okay. But yeah,
for sure.
Totally. So I'm so excited that you guys reached out to me to be on, because like I said, I felt like this was such an important thing that we're going through right now, especially in this large picture season of our world's life and stuff right now. But just in general, because mom guilt is so deep and thick with us that, it can feel like you can feel like you're the only one. And it can also feel very, really hard to manage through. And so, I feel like this is super necessary for the time right now. My last question for the both of you guys is that I wanted to ask you how you, through working, like you guys are balancing, this is your lifestyle, how do you pour back into yourself? What is the most fruitful thing that you guys see that you are doing for yourself in this season of life right now?
I'll start and then I'll let you jump in, Karissa. But throughout this past year, I feel like I picked up hobbies a little bit again.
What?
Like I know. So I asked for a real camera for Christmas, and I've been enjoying photography and I do like a weekly photo challenge that I signed up for. And I started reading again, like devouring books, not personal development, not parenting books. Like I read all of those too, of course, but like books for fun and tuning back into that. And it's been nice to have 2 outlets that have nothing to do with my family and my work, that are just something else that I enjoy for the sake of enjoying them.
Chris, I'm interested to hear what yours is right now too.
I know. I think kind of back to the point that Shari made earlier, as self-care doesn't have to be an entire spa day, just trying to find little things I can do for myself throughout the day, so that till the end of the night, I don't feel totally spent. Whether it's just like, I like to make these muffins that my kids love them too, but I make a big batch and I put them in the fridge. And then in the morning I can have like one of my favorite things to eat. And listening to music, music can really affect your mood. And so just playing music more, whether it's throughout the house or in the car, or wherever.
I love your idea, Karissa, that you shared in the book too, that like you have different songs and different playlists for different things.
I do.
Like,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and the kids will help me make them too. Like my daughter has a playlist that she likes to listen to when we're on the way to her soccer games. It gets her
Oh,
all
nice.
pumped up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'll listen to some of those songs before I go to the gym or, if I'm going for a run. And then they have like their morning playlist that gets them in the mood for
That's such a good
school.
idea.
And when my husband, he likes to cook, when he's cooking dinner, we'll listen to jazz music, and it just like instantly relaxes us. So we have our playlist. But yeah, I think just finding little things that you can do, even like, and thinking about the senses, like lighting a candle beside you on your desk, like while you're working, having that beside you. Or there's some days that I just need to take a nap with the baby in the afternoon. And then that night when the kids go to bed, if I still have work, I'll then maybe jump on the computer and work later that night. But just kind of allowing yourself to take those breaks when you need, and doing something little for yourself, throughout the day, it does add up. It adds up, definitely.
Yeah. How can everybody find you guys? How can they, especially moms who I feel like are connecting to our conversation and want to know more, like, how do I do this? What does this look like? Where can they find you guys? Where can they find those resources from y'all?
So if you head to adorethemaparenting.com, all of our information is there. You are welcome to reach out to us, connect on social media, sign up for our newsletter. We send out a weekly newsletter with, printables and articles and resources around different topics. And then our book, Parenting While Working from Home, is available from all major retailers. So you can find it, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the easiest way.
Awesome. I am, again, so thankful. I feel like motherhood is so hard. It takes us to just put ourselves out there and be like, I'm struggling. Anyone else? Because it does. We're in our own homes and we're not so connected to each other anymore. Like our neighbors don't go. Sometimes you have neighbors that live like 5 feet away from you and you have no idea who they are. So it's not like where, it used to be where families lived together and everybody was helping each other and you had sitters, and it just can be really isolating, really difficult, and really heavy sometimes. So I'm really grateful for you guys serving that community, serving that need right now. Super awesome. So thank you guys for being here. Yay.
Thank you.